Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Johnson with Alterman and Johnson Family Chiropractors, and you're joining us for Q&A with Doctors A and J. This series was started to bring resources from our community to our community with things that are in line with the chiropractic lifestyle. And a certain way of birthing babies is very much in line with the chiropractic lifestyle. We have a pediatric practice, and getting babies off to a good start is a big part of supporting their health and well-being. And today, Jacinda Golden is here with us. Hi, Jacinda.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So Jacinda is a home birth midwife. And Jacinda, you have, to me, a little bit of an interesting story about how you came to be in midwifery, because you started midwifery school before you had children of your own, yes?
Yes, yeah. So I grew up in New Zealand, where midwives are very common. We don't really have labor and delivery nurses. They use midwives in the hospital setting. So that was always like something I was familiar with. So fast forward, I actually went to a Bible college, and my undergrad is in theology. So during that time of my life, I was still thinking, like, I want to become an RN. I want to be labor and delivery nurse. But my oldest sister, she's 9 years older than me, she was having her babies at that time. And she had good births, like very standard, typical, like run-of-the-mill hospital birth. But it really just didn't, I got to be with her and it didn't resonate with me as like, this is the most empowering way for women. So after kind of going through her journey with that, it struck me like, oh, I want to be a midwife. So there's not too many direct entry midwifery schools in the country. So it was a little bit of research and looking at options, and I ended up at the Florida School of Traditional Midwifery in Gainesville. And with birth work, I think with all scopes of birth work, you kind of have to get your feet wet and start doing it to really like know if that lifestyle's for you. So I jumped into midwifery school and I have not looked back since. I love it.
Well, we're glad for that, because I know that you've attended a lot of births here in our community, and you've been a licensed midwife now since 2015, you said.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And you were in private practice or individual practice for the first number of years, and then more recently you have joined forces with the other midwives to create Jacksonville Community Midwives.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it's Jen Stone and Christy Hersey, and we're partnered together.
Okay, and we've already done interviews with them, and we're just going to build on that a little bit today. So we were talking about just the different climate that we're in right now and how that applies to birthing and home birthing in particular. So just share with us, I don't know, what you're up against, what parents are up against, but then also on the positive side, what are you doing to maintain the connections and stay connected even though we're in a different environment? Can you just share with us about that?
Yeah, so, everybody's obviously aware, I shouldn't say everybody, with social distancing in place, with, a lot of healthcare providers all across the board reducing face-to-face visits, and that's definitely part of what we're doing too. So it's strange, usually even like the first meeting for people, like usually we're doing face-to-face consultations with our clients, and right now everything's a lot of telehealth or FaceTime, Zoom calls. So that's, a difference. A lot of our visits are taking place virtually. And we do have parents still keeping track of some like important vital signs like blood pressure, dipping their urine, helping them, keep track of how their baby's growing, listening to babies. So the healthcare is still taking place. It's just in a very different format than we're used to, which I think Go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish that thought and then I'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, I haven't heard feedback yet if that's like if people are struggling with that. I think we live so much in like a digital day and age anyhow that it's not like we're seeing people on screens, talking to people on screens isn't foreign, you know? It's
Yeah.
kind of, we do it every day.
That's a good point. And you are still having some office visits, some face-to-face in-person visits, just not with the frequency that you would have in the past. Is that true?
Yes. So any visits where we would have to collect lab work are going to be in-person visits. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of pregnancy, so from pretty much 36 weeks until a parent's going to have their baby, those are all going to be in-person visits.
Okay. So then another thing that I think is different from one provider to the next, definitely in hospital settings, we're seeing that who's allowed to be at the birth then for a home birth? How are you navigating that?
Yeah, this is, again, like we hate, you know, it's not within the normal scope of midwifery care to put restrictions on people's autonomy and freedoms, but this is, you know, this pandemic is not something to mess with, and we just really want to keep our families safe, mothers and babies safe. So we are asking that only people who live in the home be present at the birth, and then you can have your doula main support person. And we just are asking that they really be conscientious about reducing, you know, the risk of transmitting anything. So careful hand washing, which they are probably all doing anyhow. And then if they, you know, asking that they do cover their faces at the birth. And, you know, we don't handle people's babies. We handle them as little as possible because babies should be with their moms. So those sorts of things, just really trying to reduce the risk of transmission. Right. Because you don't know, you just kind of have to act like anybody could be carrying it for now until we know more.
So it sounds like through the prenatal period and through the birth, doing everything you can to maintain as much normalcy as possible, even though the circumstances are a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely.
And so then another thing you and I were talking about earlier is the postpartum period. So that's different now for most people. You know, in the past, that was a time of celebration and lots of friends and family wanting to see the baby, wanting to come and help out in any way they could. And I've always encouraged moms to take advantage of all of that. You know, let people come and clean your house and care for your kids and different circumstances.
Yeah.
So you had some good ideas, good suggestions that you're sharing with moms. Can you share those with us?
Yeah, and this can, you know, this can relate to anybody, whether you're having your baby at home, birth center, hospital. So, and this, if this is redundant, excuse me, but first of all, just kind of in the last weeks of pregnancy, like make a checklist, things that you know you want to have on hand or that you'll need postpartum. And one of the huge things is just being stocked up on food, you know, frozen meals, broths, easy things to prepare, stuff for smoothies, like those are fantastic postpartum. Or, you know, because you don't necessarily, a lot of people will have a meal train or have like, you know, family or friends coming and cooking. That's not necessarily something you're going to do with the social distancing. So maybe, you know, encouraging gift cards, or people can still bring meals, you know, set people up to bring meals, but leave those outside. Like nobody should be coming in the house with those. And then I always encourage having like extra Depends on hand to be wearing, you know, and all the time, skin to skin is very important, but especially, you know, we're just really wanting to protect those little babies. So that first week of life with your newborn, I mean, your postpartum outfit depends, and a robe or something that you can really easily just, have skin to skin access. And just as a reminder, like, skin to skin is not baby on your bra. It's not a onesie on your skin. Like, skin to skin is both mom and baby naked and touching. And so having a robe and things is nice if you want to be able to cover yourself. But yeah, just really protecting that as much as possible. So, and then, there's a little different organizations have said a couple different things as far as, like, if a mom is symptomatic, common sense and the best practice is you're not going to be separating yourself from your baby. But if mom has a fever or a cough or any sort of symptoms, it is good advice, I think, for mom to also cover her face, wear a mask when she is nursing her baby or holding her baby, if she's concerned at all to having symptoms of the COVID virus.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to back up a little bit because I think you made a really good point about being prepared, and in a different way then, under different circumstances, we would be preparing, because not only do you want to have your supplies, meals, your needs met before the baby comes for convenience, but to not have family member, your partner, having to run out to the store to pick up those Depends that you don't have, or whatever the things are. So better to be well stocked so everybody can just be hunkered down with the family, with the new baby in that first, 3-4 week period, honestly. And then having people who are going to bring food, leave food on the doorstep. I think that's a great idea. I've seen people that will put a cooler out front, a really good cooler. So if there are fresh, fruits and vegetables, that they can be put in the cooler and then they can keep until the family can come and get them. So I think those are really good ideas for thinking ahead, to be able to just stay home, stay safe, stay in bed, skin to skin with your baby for as long as you can, as long as you feel comfortable doing that. Yeah. So thank you, Jacinda, so much for that.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you want to get in here before we close?
I know, when we were chatting a little earlier, you had mentioned, and I didn't hit on it yet, like maybe trouble forming the relationship with a provider, whether it's because, somebody's choosing at the very end of the pregnancy that they want to switch to a home birth or birth center birth because of the hospital restrictions. And that can be a really real fear for people, because the midwife-client relationship, there is like a level of trust, and you want to have a good bond and a good vibe and connection, because you're inviting us into your birth space, and not only that, into your home and into your family's life and space. And so just, again, saying, like, we do our best to be as normal humans as possible on video, and then we are doing in-person visits at the end. And because there's 3 midwives in our practice, it is really important to us that you do get to meet all of us before your birth. So we're being conscientious about rotating those visits. But then most importantly, I was listening to a podcast by a midwife who primarily works in the Philippines, and she's been involved a lot with, like, disaster midwifery, where, you're helping people, you're being their midwife the day you meet them. And she just shared some encouraging words about, like, it's not about us. It's not about the provider. Women are the center of their experience and the center of their birth, and being able to have your main support people there, just know that, like, we are for you. We're going to do our job of providing that support and care to make sure that everything's going normal, healthy, smooth, that you're staying low risk. but your provider doesn't make or break your birth, because it's a woman's experience. And just trying to sit with that. And if somebody has a lot of fears, to talk about those things, bring those up, recognize what the fear is and where it's coming from, and try to release that and just really focus in on it's a woman's journey. It's her birth. She has everything she needs to do it, even if the circumstances are not what she envisioned. You know?
That is so perfectly stated. It is her birth, and she has everything innately within her that she needs to birth that baby.
Mm-hmm.
So really nice words, Jacinda. Thank you so much. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and getting to know you a little bit better. And I've gotten to know your practice a lot better through talking to the three of you, and I'm really grateful for that. We are going to share links so people can get in touch with you if they want, Jacksonville Community Midwives. And yeah, just thank you again. We appreciate everything that you're doing to support our moms here in our community.
Yep, same to you. Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
You're welcome, Jacinda. Have a good day.
Bye.